2 or 3 years. It came from the Cook County State Attorney's Office to our clerk. We have been representing the county in labor negotiations, I think, for a little over 5 years. We came in during the middle of the last round of collective bargaining with AFSCME, and we were there at the end through the strike, and got us the deal last time. So we've come back again. This time around, the contract expired on November 30th of last year. We started negotiations shortly before the contract expired, but as is often the case, they tend to go on a little longer than you hope. So far, we've had 7 different sessions with AFSCME, and our next one is scheduled for next Monday. Just a little overview about how bargaining works. Because AFSCME is the elected bargaining representative of this bargaining unit of employees here with Will County, we are obligated by law to work with AFSCME and negotiate with them over all hours, wages, and terms and conditions of employment of the employees in the bargaining unit, which means that we can't just dictate how much we're going to pay them. We can't just dictate what the insurance is. We can't dictate their hours. We can't dictate the other terms and conditions of employment. We actually have to sit down with the union and negotiate over all those terms and try to reach agreement. By negotiating, we have to negotiate in good faith, which means we have to sit down with them at reasonable times and with the good faith effort or belief to reach an agreement with them. So that involves exchanging proposals, and trying to convince them, as they are trying to convince us, that the proposals that we are exchanging are the more reasonable proposals, and try to persuade them to agree to our position. Because this is a public meeting, there's a lot of, you can't get into a lot of detail, but what I will tell you is where we are now. Typically in bargaining, you start with the non-economic issues because those are oftentimes easier to resolve, and also provide the opportunity for us to develop a good working relationship across the table and trust, so that when we start handling the more difficult economic issues, they're easier to resolve. In this case, because the bargaining or the last contract didn't finish up until the end of 2013, there really weren't that many language changes that either side came to the table with, because the contract really, quite frankly, wasn't that old, and most of the language issues have been resolved in the last round of negotiations. And that's not to say that there weren't any, or that there still aren't a couple more difficult issues out there. But for the most part, we got through the non-economic issues a little more quickly than we normally would. Which led us then to the economic issues. AFSCME made their proposal first, and that was back, I think, in early May or late April, I can't remember exactly what it was. Their initial proposal was, just a brief overview, they wanted 5% a year in wage increases for a 4-year contract. On the health insurance, they wanted to maintain the status quo with respect to all the benefits, but they wanted to actually reduce their contribution, their monthly contribution, by 2%. Because the way the health insurance plan is designed now, the employees currently are, in the aggregate, paying 10% of the monthly premiums. They had proposed to reduce that from the 10% down to 8%. They also proposed an additional week of vacation, additional personal days, and a few other economic enhancements as well. We presented our initial economic proposal on June 14th. Our initial proposal was no wage increases for a 4-year term of a collective bargaining agreement. And then we also gave them our initial health insurance proposal. With respect to all other economics that are currently in the collective bargaining agreement, our proposal was the status quo, meaning we weren't seeking any other changes or increases or decreases in any other wages or other terms in the contract with respect to economics. So I think that the focus today was going to be on what our initial health insurance proposal was. And the health insurance is it's obviously a very high cost item in the county's budget, and so we are looking for ways to try to control the cost of the health insurance. The last round of negotiations were very difficult because what the county was attempting to do and ultimately was successful in doing with respect to the health insurance. Because prior to the last round of negotiations, the employees were paying a percentage of their salaries towards health insurance rather than a percentage of the premium. And what happened was, over time, because salaries went up less than health insurance costs, the employees were paying less and less towards the overall cost of health insurance. And ultimately, by the time we sought the change in the last round of negotiations, I believe they were paying around 5% of the cost of the premium towards health insurance. So our goal in the last round of negotiations was to switch it from a percentage of salary to a percentage of the actual premium, so that as our costs went up, the employees' costs went up. But not to say that we were looking to increase the cost to the employees. We also instituted a wellness program for the first time, because we thought that with an effective wellness program and the fact that the employees now had some skin in the game, or were now invested in the cost of the health insurance, that we could actually help control how much the health insurance costs went up, so that the employees would not be hit with bigger increases as time went on. This round of negotiations, we're still looking for the employees to pay a percentage of their premium contributions. We are looking to increase that, as we'll explain here in a minute, but we're also proposing adding a third health insurance plan to the mix, because right now the employees have the option of a PPO and an HMO, and we're also proposing the addition of an HSA, which we'll get into shortly.
Can I mention one other thing about the current? Bruce, maybe you can address this. There are tiers to contributions, correct?
Yes, there are.
So the reason I mention this is that lower paid employees pay less than higher paid employees.
Yes.
So we were sensitive to that. And as an average, in dollars, how much do our average employees pay for health insurance?
Well,
$100 a month?
right.
$50 a month?
Yeah.
It goes by tier, but
It goes by tier. And so we have salary bands. We have 4 salary bands, and it goes from like 33,000 to a little 10,000 more. So there's 4 bands, and the lower your salary is in those bands, the less your premium is going to be. So in the aggregate, what it works out to be is 10% of the premium overall. So the lower paid employees will pay less than 10%. Mid-paid employees will be right around 10%, and the higher paid employees would actually be a little higher than that, about 15%. So it is spread, so the aggregate is 10%.
And if I remember correctly, right now, the employees who make under $31,000 a year are contributing about 4.6, 4.7%.
That's correct.
Of their, or they're paying about 4.7, 4.6% of the premium, while those that are making over $77,000 are paying closer to 16 to 17% of the premium cost. So
That's great on all those percentages, but Bruce, what does that translate in dollars, roughly? So under 33,000, you're paying 75,
well,
80 bucks a month.
and we have a slide on this later, but currently for the PPO, for example, someone who's making under $31,000 and is selected only the employee coverage is paying $31 a month.
A month.
For health insurance. Someone making under $31,000 a year with family coverage is paying $93.56 a month for the health insurance.
And the reason I'm mentioning this, and I think the board should be aware of, is that, first off, this isn't the county's money, this is the taxpayers' money. So it's taxpayers that pay the freight here, the citizens. So when we talk about these percentages, it could sound like, oh, that's a lot. But when you're paying $35 a month for your health insurance as an individual, and $96 a month for a family, I got news for you, our employees contribute less than any Collier County in Illinois. And maybe about they pay about the least of any county in Illinois. So I mention this to you because, the percentage whole thing can kind of knock it off whack. We're very reasonable, and I think our employees have been treated extremely fairly when it comes to what they contribute to health insurance. And the taxpayers who pay the freight, the citizens of this county, I doubt if many of them have the same deal.
Not even close.
No, so Jim, we actually did custom benchmarking with our peer counties and all of the Collier counties, and you are correct, we are currently much lower than what all of our peer counties are at.
Herb, please, would you like to comment?
Bruce, maybe you can answer this question, and I agree with both of you gentlemen. But you mentioned the wellness program, and I guess my question is, I don't know if I don't really see that as a big caveat or a character. And what I wanted to know, Bruce, is there a certain amount of percentage of employees that have to participate in the wellness program to make it successful, and are we at that threshold?
We have consistently been above the threshold. Our participation rate in the wellness plan is over 90%.
Oh.
That is the highest of any in the area. Most are in, well, the first year that they're introduced, most are in the 40%. We were over 90% the first year. But when you have an established plan, most companies are happy with 75%. That's a good participation rate. Ours has always been over 90.
Good.
Now, what the wellness plan is meant to do is not to reduce the health insurance costs, but is to contain them over time. And to make people aware. And we have had tremendous success. We have a lot of success stories of people who have identified health issues early and have caught them. And literally, it has saved some people's lives.
Yeah.
And I know for some people, they find it a hassle. It's not that bad. Our plan was custom designed and negotiated with the union. And actually, Ann Hewitt assisted us with developing it. They're using that as a model for their other clients because we've been so successful.
And I thought it was a good program. I participate, my spouse do, but I didn't know how well it was doing across the county employees. So that's fantastic.
And we could do a separate presentation on the wellness program at another meeting.
And I do think it has had a positive effect in containing costs.
It has.
Okay.
So
Good.
I think it's working pretty well.
We've been beating trend.
Yeah, we've been beating trends. So I think it's partly for the wellness.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, Mark, we'll get back to you. Just fill in a few.
That's fine, that's why I'm here.
Blanks there,
So, this is a brief overview of the changes that we are actually seeking in our initial proposal. Again, I want to stress that this is our initial proposal with the union over the current health insurance plan. So with respect to the PPO that currently exists, our proposal is to increase, and we'll actually see the actual numbers and how this plays out later on. This is a general overview. Increase the deductibles, $200 for employee only, $400 for family. Move the co-insurance from the existing 90% to 80%. Increase the out-of-pocket maximums by $8,000 for employee or $2,000 for family coverage. And increase the brand co-pays on prescriptions for $20 formulary and non-formulary brand. On the HMO plan design, we are proposing an inpatient hospital copay that be increased by $150, that outpatient hospital copay be increased by $100, again, that the brand copays for formulary and non-formulary be increased by $20, and that the emergency room copay be increased by $100. And what we are also proposing, and this is what I mentioned earlier, is to add a third health insurance plan to the mix. This is what's called it's a plan, a qualified plan that allows you to set up a health savings account under the IRS regulation. And this is a high deductible health insurance plan. And under our proposal, the deductibles that are required for the plan to qualify through the IRS regulations, require that the deductible be $1,350 for employee only and $2,700 for employees with dependents. Employees who enroll in this medical plan are able to open a health savings account and continue and save pre-tax dollars into that account. So they're able to take a deduction from their salary, move it into a health savings account, and that account is their own account. It's not something that's run by the county. That's their money, that's their account, and they can use that account. It's designed to use to help defray the health insurance costs by the increased deductibles in the plan. And as long as they can take the money out tax-free or pre-tax from their wages, any interest or money that account earns is also tax-free under the IRS regulations. And as long as they use that money for qualified health costs, they can use that money without any tax consequences. Now, it is possible that they could also, because it is their money, they can use it for stuff other than health insurance, and it's going to have to pay a penalty for using that money for something other than health insurance. Also, this HSA, they don't have to use it or lose it by the end of the year. So if they put, $1,500 in there during the course of the year and they don't spend any of that money carries over to the next year. They can put another $1,500, so then they have $3,000 in there, and it can continue to grow. If they leave the county employment for any reason, they can take that money with them. It's their money. And because it's a high deductible plan, it does provide for lower employee premium contributions. And you'll see the actual numbers again as we go through this, how this plays out in our proposal. What we're also proposing to change is that for the PPO and the HMO plans, as we mentioned earlier, right now the employees are paying in aggregate 10% of the cost of the premium. We are proposing in our initial proposal that for those two plans, they go up to 20% in the aggregate for the premium contributions, which is actually consistent with what some of the other Collier counties employees are paying. But because the cost of the HSA plan is lower not only for the employees but also for the county, we're proposing that if somebody participates in the HSA plan, that remain at the 10% aggregate for the premium contribution as a way to to keep the cost of that plan lower. And you'll see the actual numbers as we go through this. Also, the salary bands that Jim referenced earlier, and that we talked about right now, under the last contract, there was those salary bands increased based on the CPIU from year to year. So right now, the salary band numbers are they're very weird numbers. So we thought it'd just be easier to, one of our proposal is not to have the salary bands increase, but they remain stable through the life of the contract, and then we round those numbers up. So that was the other component. I already touched on some of these issues earlier with respect to the HSA, but just so people fully understand. The funds that are deposited are tax-free. Both the employer and the employee may contribute to the bank account subject to annual limits. So for 2018, an individual can contribute, if they have individual coverage, they can save up to $3,450 in this plan, or $6,900 for family. If they're over 55, you can add another $1,000 to that. And as I mentioned, it is also possible for the employer to make contributions to this plan on behalf of the employees as well. Our initial proposal is solely for the employees to make contributions to this plan.
Mark, quick question.
Yeah.
Is that that account can be there from now until retirement, and they would have a fairly decent nest egg to help deal with potential medical issues as they age as well?
Yes.
Sounds like a deferred cap for medical needs.
Right. Yes. As we mentioned, the funds in this account are invested, and any growth or increase is tax-free. Any withdrawals used for qualifying medical expenses are tax-free. And then they can, employees can set up direct pay of their health insurance costs out of the plan, or out of the account. Any unused funds roll over from year to year. It's not subject to use it or lose it. And as I mentioned before, these accounts are owned by the employee, not the employer, and they're completely portable. And then, as I mentioned, in order to set up one of these accounts, you actually have to participate in an HSA qualifying medical plan, which is what our proposal was. So again, the IRS qualified medical plan plus the personal bank account equals the HSA plan, and there's the trifecta of tax benefits to the employee. The money deposited is pre-tax, the account growth is tax-free, and the use of the money is also tax-free.
Just another follow-up question. Employee leaves employment, that account has been initially set up. Is that something that they can continue to contribute to as they go on and potentially use or work with a new employer?
Well, I think their ability to, my understanding is, and this is where, again, I might have been better to answer this question, but my understanding is that they can only continue to contribute to that plan tax-free if they're also enrolled in an HSA eligible health insurance plan. So if they went to a new employer and that employer did not offer that kind of plan, they would not be able to continue to make tax-free contributions to that plan.
When you say tax-free, you're talking federal and state,
Yes.
which is more important now since we just had a 32% increase. So you save even more in the state of Illinois.
But
Right.
Which this would be an interesting thing to get to comment.
Good, go ahead.
but you can roll it over if the company does have the interest, if you leave Will County, you can take it, bring it to the other company,
But you can't go in and continue to put money in the following.
if they don't have it.
Right, and it is still your money.
That's how it is now, but you don't know. With tax reform, they might say you can.
And or health insurance, well, this would be a really good piece to have in our new health care, I would think.
I think it's an option that will work for
Right.
many people.
Just some other benefits with respect to this HSA plan. Like you mentioned, it's only available if you're enrolled in an IRS qualified plan. You use this to pay for eligible expenses, which include plan deductibles, co-insurance, dental or vision costs. The balance rolls over every year. It's portable. You can start or stop or adjust your contributions at any time. So if initially you start putting in, a couple $100 a month, and you realize that, well, maybe my expenses are going to be higher, or maybe my expenses aren't as high as I want, you can either raise or lower those contributions. You can spend now or save your HSA dollars for retirement, and you only pay for the care you receive. You can save the rest for the future. With respect to the medical plan itself, it's, like we mentioned, lower employee contributions. You can choose any doctor. Then you save more if you're going to an in-network provider. Because the actual health insurance plan that we're offering under the HSA is similar to the, with respect to the network and stuff, to the Blue Cross Blue Shield PTO that we currently offer. There's no co-pays, deductible co-insurance, including prescription drugs. Covers free preventative care. Pay the full cost of medical and prescription drugs until you meet the deductible. After you pay the deductible, the plan pays 80% of healthcare costs until you meet your out-of-pocket maximum. And then the plan pays 100% after the out-of-pocket maximum is met.
Jim,
Yes,
the $2,700 for family, $1,350 individually is the deductible. What is the out-of-pocket maximum for a family?
It is, actually we got it right here. The out-of-pocket maximum for the family is
3,000.
Yeah, 6,000 for
Well,
family.
for families.
Right,
And $3,000 per individual?
yes. Right, because this slide up here actually has what the benefits are for the
thank you.
HSA plan. As we mentioned, the deductible for the individual is $1,350. The deductible for the family is $2,700. The out-of-pocket maximum is $3,000 and $6,000. The numbers on the right-hand column, that's if you go out of network. But again, the network is fairly extensive, so it's probably unlikely that employees would go out. but that's 5,625 and 11,250. The co-insurance for in-network is 80%. Then the physician care office visits, the copay is 80%. Medical copay is 80%. Preventative services are all covered by 100% unless you go out of network and they're not covered. Hospital services are covered at 80%, emergency services at 80%, and prescription drugs at 80%. And again, all that is until you reach the out-of-pocket maximum.
Mark, I want to mention that the big difference here with an HSA is prescription drugs. They are part of the deductible. They are not a copay of the 10, 25, 45 that we're used to now. So your prescription drugs are like any other medical expense. You have to pay the full cost until you meet your deductible.
Can they use the nickel card? Can they use the prescription card?
I'm not sure if you can use both, but you can try.
All right. So that's the HSA plan that we proposed. The next we have the PPO plan. And what's highlighted in yellow represents a change over the current plan. So under our proposal, and again, we've got salary bands here also. Not only do employees pay different premium contributions based on their salary band, they also pay different deductibles under these plans based on their salary band. So when you see here, like looking at the proposed changes in the PPO, let's look at the top of the deductible. Those that are making less than $30,000, their deductible for individual coverage would be $550. Those in the $30,000 to $50,000 range, their deductible for individual coverage would be $600. And those making over $50,000, their deductible for individual coverage would be $650. And then each of those numbers is double for the family coverage. So again, there is a distinction made by the county so that those people that are making less are paying less towards the benefits in the insurance. The out-of-pocket, like I said, we're proposing an increase there. So currently the out-of-pocket for individual is $2,000. We're proposing that goes up to $3,000. And for family, it's $4,000. We're proposing that goes up to $80,000. Or $60,000, I'm sorry, $60,000 or $6,000. Then you see, as I mentioned before, the co-insurance, we're proposing that go from 90% to 80%. And that's also for the physician care office visits as well, 90% to 80%. And for the hospital services, 90% to 80%. Emergency services, change here is there's a $150 copay, but then 80% of the benefit, or 80% of the cost covered as opposed to 90. And you see the prescription drugs we're proposing that go for brand formulary, the copay go from 25 to 45, and for brand non-formulary from 45 to 65. The other difference too is that the mail order 90-day supply is 2 times retail, goes up to 2.5 times. With respect to the existing HMO, the changes that we're proposing here, we're not proposing any changes or increases in out-of-pocket maximum or on any of the co-pays. What we are proposing is with the hospital services that the copay goes from $125 up to $275. And then, I guess that's easy. Yeah, and then also for outpatient surgery from 50 to 150, and for outpatient hospital from 50 to 150. With respect to emergency services, we're proposing that the copay go from 150 to 250. And then again, with prescription drugs, we're proposing on the brand formulary from 25 to 45, and from the brand non-formulary 45 to 65. Now this one's kind of hard to read, but this is what it actually, based on the current projected increases in cost and premiums, what under our proposal, how the premium contributions would change for each plan and in each salary band. So if you look at the top box that goes across, that's the PPO, and you look at the set of numbers on the left, that's what the employees are currently contributing to, currently paying each month with respect to their premiums for the PPO plan. So just to give you an idea, we already mentioned that if it's an employee only and they're making under $31,000, they're paying $31.19 a month. That goes all the way up. If they're a family making under $31,000, that's $93.56. Someone, I think most of the AFSCME employees fall in the $51,000 to $77,000. So if you look at the impact on this bargaining unit, that would be the column that would be most representative of how it's going to impact the AFSCME employees. So currently, someone making between $51,500 and $77,000 is paying just under $100 a month for employee-only coverage, and that goes up to $291 a month for family coverage for the PPO. If you go down to the bottom square with the HMO, again, looking at the third column over, that's the $51,500 to $77,000. Currently, employee only in the HMO is paying $67.56, and for family coverage, it goes all the way up to $202.68. So now, if we look at the middle box of numbers, under our proposal for 2018, as I mentioned, we were proposing that the aggregate premium contribution increase from 10% per employee up to 20%. So based on that, the employee making between $51,500 and $77,000, if they stayed in the PPO plan for 2018 under our proposal, their cost would increase to $170.79 per month, which is an increase of was about $73.55 per month under our proposal. With respect to the family coverage, their premiums would go up to $512.37 per month. So that would be an increase of $220.64 per month if they were to stay in the PPO under our proposal at the 20% aggregate. With respect to the HMO, again, going up to the 20% aggregate, employees in the $51,500 to $77,000 range, their premium contributions would go up from $67.56 a month to $140.78 per month, or an increase of a little over $73. A family in that same category, the $51,500 to $77,000, would go from $422.35, from $202.68 to $422.35, so an increase of $219.67. So again, that's going from it's taking into account the increased cost of the premiums next year because of the increase in health insurance costs in general, and moving the employees from an aggregate of 10% premium contribution to 20% contribution. That would be the increases if they were to choose to stay in those plans. But then if you look at the HSA, and again, keeping in mind that we decided, because it's a lower cost plan to the county and to the employees, to offer this at a 10% aggregate premium contribution, those employee contributions in some cases actually, well, in every case, go down for the employee each month. So for instance, if you had an employee only and that employee went from the PPO to the HSA, currently in the PPO they're paying $97.25. If they were to switch to the HSA, that goes down to $85.78 a month.
Mark, and they stay in the PPO network.
Right, they're saying they don't have to change doctors or anything. It's the same network of doctors that they have under the PPO, but they do have the different benefits that we set out in the HSA account, or HSA qualified plan. For family coverage, they're currently paying, the average AFSCME employee is currently paying $291.74 for family coverage under the existing PPO per month. If they were to switch to the HSA, that would be $257.35. So So that would go down about $35 a month for the employees if they were to switch from the PPO to the HSA. And there would also be, if they were to switch from the HMO to the HSA, their costs would go up a little, but they're getting, a broader network of doctors and, different benefits. But I think the real switch is going to be people going from the PPO to the HSA. Because even though there's a higher deductibles and there may be higher costs, which they can set money aside, as we talked about in their savings accounts, on a monthly basis as far as premium contributions across the board, they're going to go down. And actually, that's the extent of that.
So, if you have some questions about the actual insurance plan, you can ask. We're not here to negotiate or talk about negotiation strategies. We are going to go into executive session to talk about perhaps some parameters for negotiations. If you have questions that are directly related to negotiation strategies, you can ask in an executive session. Mary, are you around here? You're over here. So, Mary did keep us on the straight and narrow path here about things we should do here in open session, the things we should do, not shouldn't do. We don't want to be, it's a fine line whether you're, if it's a violation of negotiations and unfair labor practices. So we're always very careful what we do publicly in relation to negotiations. So, Ray,
Yeah, this is just
you
specifically.
was first. Okay. You were first.
I was just wondering, I have friends whose kids have gone out of state for college and their insurance didn't cover them. How does our insurance, if our kids go out of state for college, how?
They cover them.
They're covered?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Like I know that some friends are on the Affordable Care Act and they don't, they have to get different insurance for their kid out of state.
That is correct for the Affordable Care Act. The
Okay.
changes are through the states, that's why. Our plan covers the Blue Cross and the nationwide network.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that because a lot of people have kids that go out of state. I just was wondering. So thank you.
Okay, Ray, do you have something?
Yes, just specifically towards, when you talk about the plans going, family going from the PPO over to the HSA, I'm assuming that's going from the 17 PPO into the 18 HSA, what we
Right.
thought? Okay, we heard about the column 51 to 77, but I'm curious to know the representation from the insurance standpoint, how it affects individuals in the lower bracket or in the upper bracket. Do they all see a savings by switching over, or is it just going to be one portion or one group that we're focusing on here?
Well, the employees in the lower salary band, if they went from the current PPO to the HSA, would see a slight increase in their monthly premium.
So the lowest paid people would see the increase, and the 51 to 77 would see a decrease.
Right, and actually, and just to give you an idea of the increase they would see, currently someone under the making under 31,000 with the family coverage under the existing PPO, that's $93.56. If they went to the HSA, we're anticipating that being around $115.81, so it's an increase of about $12 a month. For family coverage, it's an increase of about $7 a month for individual coverage.
Okay, and then what about in the highest tax bracket?
For those over 77,000, if they're currently in the PPO and they have family coverage, it would go from $361.73 down to $308.82.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, and that's what I kind of thought, looking at the map. Doesn't this kind of defy what we tried to set up as the objective from a county standpoint, where the lesser paid employees would pay less, the higher paid employees would pay more? Because it seems to me that when you're looking at that, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just asking from our philosophy of what the county board has wanted to go through in the past, it just seems this plan rolling it out kind of defies what we.
Well, let me say, I'm not so sure it was the philosophy of the county board. It's what we agreed to in negotiations. But, you know, I can tell you, if you talk to the higher paid employees or the employees that are 55 and over, they think it's unfair to them. So, you know, to some people who pay the most, you know, save, and those who pay the least may pay a little bit more, I think the principle is no different. The principle is that the lower paid people are still paying a heck of a lot less than the higher paid people. And just because there can be a slight increase to one band over another, doesn't mean that the concept still isn't there. So, you know, to say that one band should go up no more than another, I don't think that's the philosophy.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I was just making sure that
Well,
they
it
weren't
sounds to me
given.
like that's what you are saying, though.
No, it's
The
not.
people who are-
What I'm making sure is that we didn't give the objective as that's what we were looking for, and then the plan came back with something different.
I think what we're looking for is this. The same that we've been looking for the 26 years I've been dealing with insurance here at the county. When it comes to health insurance, in any of our insurance coverages, it's not that we don't think the costs are going to go up, but it's to slow the growth of those costs in a responsible way. So while trying to contain costs, not lower costs, but trying to contain costs while still giving our employees a high level of benefits. That's been our goal from the day I've been here. And I actually chaired the first Insurance and Personnel Committee that the county ever formed. So that's the goal then. It's the goal now. It's to try to have a sustainable program that everyone benefits from. And, you know, there's not an unlimited amount of money. There's only so much the taxpayers can keep in their pocket for. So if you want to know what the overall goal is, that's what it is. And when I started, the employees paid a percentage of the premium, and there was no income bands. Everybody paid the same. So, you know, is there sensitivity to maybe the lower paid workers in this county? Yeah, but I can tell you in the real world, you know, whether you worked in a refinery or a factory or whether you worked for IBM, you know what? Employees paid the same, regardless of what they make. You know, so what we've created here is a little unique. And I think it's even very unique amongst other counties. I am aware of no one who does a salary band. The argument is with the higher paid employees is that we all get the same benefit. They don't get more of a benefit. Therefore, everybody should pay the same. That's amongst the employees who say that. So, you know, I've always thought we were on a kind of a tough road where we're trying to, you know, redistribute contributions into a plan that everybody gets the same benefit out of it. And that's what we've done. That's what we've agreed to in our negotiations. I think that.
And just that point, even under the HSA, the employee making under $31,000 for family coverage is going to pay about $200 less a month than the employee making for $77,000. So there's still a big difference between the cost of the insurance.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Jim thinks I'm looking at it from one, I understand it, and I agree. At my company, we do the same thing. Everyone is the same amount. I have no problem with that. My issue is, when you started your presentation, you said, you know, this is how the county has done this, and I thought, that's why I just thought it was a little.
No, it's not the way we always done.
Right, so I'd like to clarify too, that those numbers that were shown, those are illustrative. There's a lot of assumptions put into developing the plan. One of them is assuming that 5% of the population will move into the HSA the first year. So when you look at that, it's going to be more of the higher paid employees that move in there. And so when we want to keep the aggregate cost for the HSA at 10%, those at the higher end of the pay scale are going to actually be paying 13.4% of the cost of the plan, while the lowest paid employee, even though they see a slight increase in premium, they're only paying 5% of the cost of the plan. So, you know, that's how we have to spread it to get the aggregate at 10%.
I understand.
Beth, did you have a question?
I do.
Comment?
Just a question on behalf of the board members that aren't here. Are they able to get a copy of the proposed plan, or is it more confidential in nature?
Well, we put it up, I suppose, Mary, we could distribute this now.
Pass out the
It's an
table
open
after.
meeting, it's a public document now.
We'll email it to everybody
So,
this afternoon.
Beth will email it to everyone. So. Actually, this was no big secret anyway. I mean, it's
It was
like,
presented at the negotiations, so the
Yeah.
union has it.
so that's kind of public, what's it considered? Mike?
Yeah, a couple things. And Ray, you're looking at HSA possible versus last year's PPO. There still is going to be a PPO, so we got to look at all of them in the aggregate. You can't just pick one out and say it's going to cost someone a couple dollars more for this because it's a whole different kind of plan which they benefit differently from. The one thing that I want to mention about negotiations, but certainly not any number, so Mary doesn't get mad, and I've always talked about this number before, is the package. I mean, I would like to see somewhere in our negotiations where for the individual bands or whatever, as we get closer to where we should be, that there is a number that that band personnel sees that says, here's the package you're receiving. So maybe it's a $30,000 employee, but as far as their pay goes, but they're receiving a $100,000 package. And this goes to what Jim's speaking about. They're getting the same insurance. They may be getting what cost us $20,000 a year of insurance. That's the same as the person that's making $70,000 that's getting the $20,000 worth of insurance coverage that we provide. And I really think we need to push that more so that that individual, especially the lower income individual, starts seeing that they're getting a heck of a deal in their band and everything that comes underneath it, all the bennies and all that. Then they can start comparing to some of their friends and ask about their package, and they're going to see how much better off they are.
Well, their benefits could be 80-90% of their salary.
Right, exactly, or more.
Or more. Yeah.
Question for Bruce, if I
Yeah.
may. Bruce, are we going to have that, and Beth, you're absolutely correct when you were concerned about the other board members, because this is something hard for people to wrap their brains around. Are we going to be able to take, like I said, we talked about a couple months ago about getting enrollment specialists in here, and not just talking about HSAs, but FSAs as well?
Yes, so we will definitely, we're working with Ann Hewitt's communication team.
Pardon?
Ann Hewitt's communication team. They do this all the time. And we're putting together a communication program, benefit specialists to reach out. We'll set up meetings, and we definitely are going to incorporate FSA, because if you elect an HSA, you can only elect a special use FSA. So, otherwise, people have to understand what they can use it for, and as well as the regular. If they're going to stay in the PPO plan, they can still do the regular FSA.
But I know they changed it now that you can, because at one time you couldn't do both.
Right, correct. Now
So
you
now you
can,
can do-
but it's a limited purpose FSA. It's for like vision, dental, some of the other things that aren't covered under the regular plan.
But we're going to have enrollment specialists coming in and be able to explain it a little bit more extensively.
Oh, absolutely.
This
We'll
kind
have
of goes-
calculators for them to actually, here's your salary, here's what your premium is, here's what your last year's insurance out of pocket was. So
No,
that's,
because we're just kind of like touching on this and everyone's looking, I'm looking at the eyes, like, so, disclaimer, I mean, I sold this for years, so that's when I'm looking over at faces and people are looking at it like it's Greek, and it is very Greek because it's very difficult. And we're looking at, you did great explaining, but you're looking at numbers and that you're not situations, and how this is of putting in. If you have something, you see the doctor once a year, this is a great plan. If you have something that's coming up, you're having babies, whatever, this might necessarily not be for you. So there's a lot of other
that is
with
correct.
it.
Yeah, and it is very confusing because you get to set aside these pre-tax dollars and
And if you have, so there's a lot more with it. You were just kind of doing the preliminary numbers, which that was your job today, so thank you.
So any other questions or comments? The only other comment I would like to make, and we're going to go into executive session, and we can talk more specifically about things that do with negotiations. The only other thing I want to mention is that this is a collaborative effort. Bruce Tidwell works under the executive branch of government. When we ask for recommendations as a board, the executive branch, Bruce particularly, as the HR person, we kind of give them some guidelines of, same thing. We're looking to contain the cost, we're looking to contain the growth of the cost as much as we can to make a sustainable program for everyone. So then we have consultants. So and then we go to our consultants. Bruce goes to our consultants along with our labor negotiating team, and we talk about how do we meet the goals of a sustainable healthcare program. And they come back with recommendations. And they came back with a number of recommendations, basically under the same framework, show different percentages and so forth. But so when this idea is that somehow this just gets pulled out of the hat somewhere by somebody, that's not how it works. These were the recommendations that came basically from the executive branch of government to the executive committee, which is the Insurance and Personnel Committee, and to say this is what we're going to start with in negotiations. So everyone has a clear understanding of that. I will say that the board takes the brunt of the grief in these types of things, but I try to put the brunt of the grief on Mark. So you have an understanding how this stuff kind of comes down. So, Bruce, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. But.
No, that is correct. I mean, we are a self-insured plan, and so when we employ our consultants and experts, they have actuaries that run our actual, experience through their models, and that's how we come up with these numbers. They're not just pulled out of a hat.
So,
right.
So if there's no other questions, I'm going to motion to an executive session. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got one other thing before we do that. Discussion of tax rate freeze. Mike, I don't know if this is one of you brought up.
We had talked about the last executive meeting about
However you wanted to discuss.
Freezing the tax rate, but I've got even better news than that. It looks like based on the preliminary numbers we now have, we'll be able to drop the tax rate. Right now, it looks like at least 1.5% over last year. That's based on taking all of the budget work that everybody's done and all of the assessed valuation, all of those things coming together. It looks like we're going to be able to drop the rate. So hopefully that will be the minimum that we'll be able to drop it, 1.5%, give us a rate at about 6.058, and hopefully we can push it down from there. I still have a few things to come in yet, but that's kind of where we're at right now. So better than a freeze, we're going down.
And this is on the agenda. Mr. Brooks asked whether we're going to have discussion. This kind of is a time to have a discussion since it's a committee of the whole and everybody can be here. So I'm just going to kind of open it up. If there's any comments or further discussion, Mr. Brooks.
And thank you so much for that, Chairman Fizzalone. Because as I first heard it for the first time last Thursday, they passed the budget last Thursday. So a week later, haven't had a whole lot of time to go through all the hundreds of pages of the budget, but there was a couple things that I wanted to point out when we had talked about a tax-free. Nobody wants a tax-free, but I do feel, a tax rate increase, but I do feel better now that we dropped it. But a couple things I want to point out. There is some reform in that budget. You are aware of that.
State
reform.
You're talking about state. I was talking just about our county tax rate.
Correct.
So I can't control what they do. I wouldn't have done the 32%.
Right. No. That's why they get the big bucks in state of Illinois and Springfield. That's not what. But some of the things that I did look at in the budget, and one of our state senators, Sue Resin, did put out a report that I did copy it, and anybody got it, but it does talk about what's contained in it and how it does affect our residents of Will County, and that's what I was concerned about.
Oh, okay.
And those things that it did talk about is that with the new revenue, we are able to get Will County road construction back to work. With that budget, we were able to get stopped the Standard & Poor's from putting the state of Illinois in a just bound status, and that was some good news. But there was a lot of other things in there, but since we removed it from the freeze, that probably not pertinent now, but there are, if you take a look at the budget, there is a lot of things in that budget that does, I think will be beneficial to us here at Will County.
But there are some things I'm still concerned about. There's talk of
As
a 2% surcharge on tax, we pay sales tax. There's some things that could
Oh, yeah.
hurt us a little bit. And still that, while they've said that the LD funds, well, distributive fund is going to be safe, it isn't 100% yet. So that still could affect us a little bit. The key for us is, you know, and obviously it depends on what your house is worth, but if our tax rate goes down, potentially our residents save dollars.
Correct.
And certainly only on the county tax portion, but we can only do our part, because that's our job.
Right. Out of 102 counties, we're concerned about Will.
That's right.
And that's what, so, yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Harris, did you have?
Just have one question, just so I'm clear. When we talk about tax rate freeze, we're talking about property tax rate, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim, I know you had Mary stand up previously. I didn't know if you wanted her to still say something before you went into executive. Mary Tatro. Before, in regards to the negotiations and going into executive session.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. Anything else about the tax rate? The fact that Will County, this is a culmination of us just doing good work and watching our budget with dollars, by the way. We're going to, I'm going to take an executive session for the purpose of negotiations, and Mary, pending litigation.
Yeah, I can do the pending litigation here or at executive
I
committee,
would
but as
imagine
long as
it
we're,
is.
yes,
Yeah,
I
we'll
have
do it
pending
here.
litigation as well.
And pending litigation, so.
I'll move.
We got a motion?
Second.
Take the roll, please.
Yes.
Mayor. Yes. Brooks.
Yes.
Ogalla.
Yes.
Rice. Harris.
Yes.
Fritz. Gould.
Yes.
Militello. Yes. Salad. Frizalone.
Yes.
Winfrey. Yes. Parker. Yes. Seeley Berry. Yes. Dollinger. Yes. Markham.
Yes.
Hart. Humanello.
Yep.
Weigel.
Yes.
Berry.
Yes.
And Prolitis. And
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
During the session.
So we have a few,